Hey Riley, are you still down in Alabama? No?
No, we came back. We were just there for a week, so it was been like last 2 weeks ago that we came back.
So your brother doing okay?
Yeah, they're doing really good.
I'm glad nothing happened to us. So his house is still okay, hopefully?
Yeah, so
Okay,
they somehow like they really didn't get affected at all, really. They had a bunch of branches that fell down, obviously, but that's to be expected.
that's good.
But they really didn't have any like structural damage or anything.
Good. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. There's still a couple people entering, but I want to go ahead and get started. Today, we're not really going to be doing any physics, don't really have time. I'm going to be sharing with you a PowerPoint for a meeting that I went to last night uh, that will kind of inform you about the AP Physics test. instead of giving you a bunch of rumors and stuff that I didn't know before. That's why I really haven't talked about it, because I didn't want to ramp up your anxiety. I wanted to give you the straight facts, and today's the day I can give you all the information. I feel pretty comfortable. I know what I'm talking about today, and I think I'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you and get started then. By the way, I shared this PowerPoint with you so that the reason I shared it with you is because there's a bunch of hypertext links that I want you to be able to um, access if you need to. Like, for instance, something you could do right away after this meeting today, oops, sorry, is that you can go ahead and click on that link and actually print out the equation table. So don't go thinking, oh, I'm just going to have it on my computer. I'm going to have it on some electronic device. No, you need to have it printed out. So I would like you to click on that equation table, and I'd like you to get it printed out right away, like right after our meeting. And also down below, there's another link here for AP exam checklist. For every AP exam that you have, you need to print out one of those checklists. It's something that the College Board has put together, and it's actually pretty good. I recommend it. It's a front and back sheet of paper. You need one for every AP test that you take. I'll talk more about it at the end. So you need to print those things out right away and get them ready. Have them set somewhere that you know where they are so you can use them on your test day. If you're like, I don't have the capability of printing, you need to email me so I know. That way I will go into school and make copies for you, and then I'll communicate with you how I'm going to get that to you. What I'm thinking of right now is maybe I'll put them in a box that says AP Physics and set it by the front door on a certain day of the school, and you just come in and grab one out of there, okay? You need those items. So print them out right away. If you don't have the capability, email me right away. I also would like you to do the following. Right away, I would like you to mark these 2 dates on your calendar. Next Monday, this coming Monday, there's going to be an AP exam demo day. You can almost think of it as an AP exam practice test. It's not going to be a practice test. You're not going to have AP physics questions you're answering. All you're practicing is, can I get on the website and can I upload an answer? However you're going to do it. If you cannot access that site on Monday, we're going to do it in class because it's that important. If you cannot access that site, that's a big problem, because that means you won't be able to access the test. And so we need to figure that out, okay? I also would like you to put on your calendar Monday, May 11th, and at 1:30 p.m., that's the actual exam that you're going to start. So I suggest maybe putting your cell phone, something that will push out a notification to you. Hey, don't forget, you got a test coming up right now. I don't want you forgetting. Make alarms so you don't sleep through it or anything. Okay, it's pretty important. And also, I want you to make sure that you can access your College Board account. Some of you have already done that. I sent out an email already about that some time ago. Some of you have responded, yes, I can access that. Some of you haven't responded, and you need to make sure that you can access that. So check that out right away. If you're one of those people that says, I haven't been getting emails from the College Board, if you click on this link right here where it says here, there's a whole series of steps that you could follow to configure your email address. The truth is, that's of a less priority. I'm not too worried about that. I mean, that would be nice to have that configured. Make sure you try to do that, but it's not a big deal. What is a big deal is that you can access your College Board account. Okay. And again, if you guys have questions, just stop me at any time. So during this presentation, there's going to be 4 areas that we're going to talk about, 4 sections. The first one is going to be talking about your AP exam ticket that lets you get into the exam. The second one is the 5 steps you should do to prepare for the exam. Make sure you have these things ready. The third one is going to be talking about the actual exam, how to be successful on it. And the fourth part of the presentation, we're going to talk about after the exam, your scores, credit, that kind of stuff. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about your AP exam ticket. So 2 days before the exam, so again, your exam is Monday, May the 11th, so 2 days before it would be Saturday, May the 9th, you're going to get an email with your e-ticket, okay? Don't worry if you don't get that email, but on May 9th, if you don't get the email, you need to go into your College Board account and get in there, and you can access the code there as well. What your ticket looks like will be on the far right there. So there's a picture on the far right shows you what your ticket will look like when you open up the email. It'll say your name, hi, it'll say AP Physics exam, and it'll say it's several days from now, and down below have your name and your AP ID. And there's a little yellow button. When you click on that yellow button, it goes to exam. Please understand, that won't go anywhere until Monday, May 11th at 1:30, okay? But you'll have it on Saturday, so you're all ready to go. You need to understand that ID, the AP ID, is not transferable to anybody else. That is unique to you. That's your ticket. By the way, if you have more than one AP subject, you're going to get an email ticket for each of those subjects. So this only works for AP Physics, okay? This E&M exam, that's it. Don't share it with anybody else. It has to do with test security. It's only for you, and they're going to be able to track that. This test can only be accessed by one device. They're going to be able to see if more than one device, and that's going to set up warning bells that, oh, there might be cheating going on here. So you don't want anything that might set up those warning bells that they're going to start scrutinize you and look at you. You don't want to share that code, okay? One last thing is, after the exam, please save this ticket. Don't clear out your emails, save that ticket, because if something would have happened during the exam where you're like, had interruption with maybe electricity went out or something like that, you're going to use that code so that you can do a makeup exam later on. You'll need to hold on to it, okay? So don't lose that. All right, so on Monday, May 11th at 2 p.m., your exam starts. But that's when the exam starts. You need to access that exam half an hour before, so 1:30 p.m., okay? You need to understand that this test is simultaneous throughout the globe, the entire world. Everybody's going to be taking the E&M exam everywhere in the world at the exact same moment. So people in China, they're going to have to take it. I think it's super late at night for them or something like that. So everybody's taking the same moment. It has to do with test security, so that people aren't talking on the web about it because everybody's taking it at the same time. If you know already that you have a conflict, I don't know, maybe you have surgery scheduled or something, you need to let me know right away. Okay, don't wait until if you have surgery scheduled or something else scheduled during that time, you need to let me know right away. Don't wait until the day of or day after or something. Let me know. Oops, went too fast there, sorry. What to expect on this year's exam. So some people are worried about this going to be a little bit tougher. I don't, based on the presentation to me last night, it's not going to be tougher. So they're going to be looking at how students have done in past years and everything. So if you were, without the pandemic, if you were set to get a 5, you're going to get a 5 on this, they assure me. If you were going to get a 4, you're going to get a 4 on this. So don't worry about that. One thing that you do need to be aware of, just because I want to make sure you don't have too much anxiety on this test, is they told me last night that this test might be designed such that you're going to kind of run out of time for some of these questions. So for instance, let's say it has, let's say, parts A through G, and you're like, oh, I'm running out of time and only on part C. You need to understand it's still possible to get a 5 without answering all parts of that question, okay? So don't go freaking out going, oh, I didn't get to 2 of the parts, I'm not going to get a 5. No, don't let that throw you. But what is important is that you hit the submit. I hope you're really listening to this, because this is different than Canvas. You need to hit the submit button. So there's going to be a little countdown timer. So I think the first question you get 25 minutes. There's going to be a little countdown timer. When it gets down to 5 minutes, you need to submit or I should say, upload your answer. So either copy paste or upload your answer. And then let's say it's ticking down to 0. You need to hit the submit before it hits 0. You have to do that, because it's not like with Canvas. With Canvas, if you don't hit submit, that's all right. When your time expires, it submits for you. That's not true on this one. If you don't hit the submit button and time expires, there's nothing that's submitted. It's a zero. There's nothing. Everything's blank. Even if you had parts A through, let's say A through D filled in, and you're like, oh, I want to get the rest of it, and time just ran out, but you didn't hit submit, it's like you didn't submit it. You didn't have anything. That's what they see. Okay. So it's really important that you hit submit. Okay. Heck, sorry about this. Okay. So there are going to be 3 different methods for you to submit your answers. The method that I'm recommending and the College Board is recommending is kind of on the left there. So what you're going to do is you're going to use your laptop, and you're going to have a split screen. One side of the screen is going to be accessing the College Board site where the question is. The other side is going to be your favorite word processing program. Okay, so Microsoft Word, let's say. And on Microsoft Word is where you're going to be typing your answer. It's going to ask you a question, and you're going to be typing your answer. You need to understand that this test is going to be a little bit different than most tests that we have in physics. It's not going to be lots of computation. It's going to be more explaining things. So in a way, a little bit more conceptual. Think of some of the buddy quizzes where you had to explain things. I know you guys don't like to do it, but you can do it. But if I ask you, like, how would you find the electric field? Well, you'd probably say, well, I have to use Gauss's law, and I'd have to integrate, and I have to use the area of a sphere, and that. Well, you have to write that. That's what you're going to have to type out. Okay, you're not actually going to have to compute a whole lot of stuff. All right. So anyway, for the first method, you would put that in a word processing program. Then you would copy whatever you have in the word processing program and paste it into their website. The reason why, if you're thinking, well, why don't I just type it into the website? The reason why is, I don't know if you've ever been to a website where you're typing something and then all of a sudden the computer crashes or the website goes down or something. Well, you just lost everything. But in this case, assuming you're saving stuff on your Word document, you didn't lose anything. All you have to do then is reopen up the website using your e-ticket, that little tab, or clicking on that button, and then just simply repaste it. You didn't lose everything. That's why. So that's the first method. The second method is similar to the first method. So you have a split screen. One side is going to be the AP website where you put your answer. The other side is a Word document, again, where you're typing your answer. But this time, instead of copying and pasting, you just simply save the whole document, maybe save it into your desktop or into maybe a folder, AP Physics folder, and then you attach that document, the whole thing. So that's another method. You could do that. The third method, which I am not recommending, and also the College Board is not recommending, is the following. You can use your handheld device, like let's say a cell phone. You love your cell phone. You're married to your cell phone. And you can access the website and look at the problem on your cell phone. And then on a piece of paper, you can solve the problem on a piece of paper. But realize the solving is not going to be mathematical computation like most problems. It's going to be explaining. So you're going to have to handwrite. Then you're going to have to take a picture of what you just wrote and upload it to the site. So here's why I'm not recommending it. I'm hoping you're already seeing it. I don't know about you, but have you ever noticed that when you're using a cell phone, you kind of have to scroll a lot? Well, when you're on Facebook or whatever it is kids do nowadays, scrolling is not a big deal. But if you're trying to read a physics problem and you're trying to solve it, it's not fun to scroll back and forth. That's one problem. The second problem is, for everything you write down, let's say you have several pages of an answer, because these questions are going to have multiple parts. For each page that you have, you're going to have to take a picture of it and upload that picture, all in the time that you're given. You only have a certain amount of time. The third reason is this. Sometimes when students forget to turn in, I'm saying previously, my students, you guys, if, for instance, you forgot to turn in a lab, sometimes students say, oh, can I just take a picture and send it to you? Yeah, you can. I can't tell you how many times I've had students send to me a picture where it's turned to the side, or it's not very clear, it's blurry, the lighting was not so good. Well, those are all things that are going to hurt your score. So that's the other reason why I don't recommend it. For those students right now, you might be thinking, oh, how about I use both of these? I'll use my computer so I don't have to scroll, and I'll use my cell phone to take a picture because I'd rather use my handwriting. You can't do that. Here's the problem. You're accessing the website with two different devices, and a bunch of warning bells go off that there's cheating going on, okay? You can only access the test with one device. You might be thinking, okay, I'll just use my computer to access the test, and I'll use my cell phone to take a picture and send it to my computer. That also won't work because you're only, for the first two methods, you cannot upload pictures. You can only upload documents, or you can copy and paste text. You cannot include pictures at all. Okay, so the first two you can't even do not that we have force diagrams, but you can't do force diagrams. You can't do that. You can't make a graph. You know, all those graphs we've done where you have E versus R. No, you can't do that either, right? So you might describe that, or maybe they give you a graph and you explain what's going on there, or how you would find the voltage graph. You'd have to integrate or something like that. But you won't make a graph. You won't include a picture at all, right? What I wanted to mention about these three is that you need to make sure that you're using either Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Edge, Microsoft Edge. You can't use Internet Explorer. So I don't think that'll be an issue, but if everybody has Internet Explorer, it won't work. Okay, so now let's talk about option one. So option one is where you type and then you paste it. So copy and paste. So again, you're going to have a split screen, kind of like the picture there. And so on one side will be the AP website, and the other side will be your favorite word processing program. Could be Google Doc, Microsoft Word, whatever. At the top of each one of the responses, you need to put your AP ID. Oh, don't include images. I just mentioned that. And save your work often. At the top of each one of these, you need to put your AP ID and your initials. That's so that if something were to happen, they can associate the correct answer with the correct person. At the last, so the very first problem, you have 25 minutes. At the very end, when the time gets down to 5 minutes, it will highlight in red, hey, this is the time where you're supposed to start uploading your answer. Within that 5 minutes, or even before the 5 minutes, you need to make sure that you click submit. If you don't click submit, it's like you didn't put any answer in, okay? And I think I went over all that. If you do option two, this is instead of doing copy and paste, it's still the same idea. You have a split screen. This time in your Word document, instead of doing copy and paste, you save that Word document to your desktop, and then you upload it into you attach it to the response or whatever. You need to understand that if you do that, you don't include images. You do save it often, so you don't lose anything. But it can only be in one of the following formats. It has to be saved as either a doc, docx, PDF, text, or ODT, okay? Has to be one of those. So be careful about, especially the Google Docs. Make sure you save it as the right thing. It needs to have your AP ID and your initials at the top as well of each one of those responses. So if this is the method, I'm already hoping that you're thinking, okay, which method do I like better? That's what I want you to be doing right now. If this is the method where you're thinking this is the one I like the best, I would start planning right now. There's things you can do right now. Like for instance, if I were you, I would not wait until test day. I would make a folder on my desktop and I'd call it AP Physics Test or something like that. You could go ahead inside that inside of that folder, make two documents, one for each question. So you could say AP Physics question 1, AP Physics question 2. And at the top of, when you open those up, at the top, you can go ahead, well, you can't put your AP ID, but you will be able to on the 9th because you'll get it then. You can go ahead and put your initials and save it. So you already have it saved in there. That way, all you have to do is on test day, you can go ahead and open it up. It's all ready to go. The other reason why you want to do this is because let's say you just got done doing question 1 and you saved it to your desktop, and then you upload it, you need to make sure you choose the right folder. Imagine how horrible it would be. You got question 1, you did beautiful, you saved it to your desktop, you're getting ready to upload it, but instead of uploading question 1, you accidentally upload question 2, which is blank. That would not be good. So that's another good reason to have it all ready ahead of time. What I really want to point out, and I'm going to say it over and over again, is it's really important that you hit submit before time runs out. If you got everything filled out, but you don't hit submit, it's like you didn't have anything on there. The other thing I need to concentrate, this is another worry I have, is that these are probably going to have multiple parts, like A, B, C, D. Well, I know they will. I'm really worried that somebody will do part A, put the answer for part A, and they'll accidentally hit submit because they're thinking they're submitting part A and then going in part. That is not what you should do, because what will happen is it will submit the entire problem. And that's definitely not what you should do. You should only hit submit when you have the entire problem done or if time's getting ready to run out. Okay. All right. All right, let me go back. Yeah, I think I covered all that. Option 3, this is with the cell phone. This is what I don't recommend. It's not really what the College Board recommends, but maybe this is what maybe you thought of a good way that would work for you, okay? For this, again, you could plan ahead of time. You can go ahead and get some paper ready ahead of time. You can go ahead and put your AP ID at the top, put your initials at the top, and you can go ahead, the most you can have is 5 sheets of paper for each problem. So you can go ahead and number each of the pages, like page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, and get that all ready ahead of time. So it's all ready for you. You need to understand that for every page you use, you're going to have to take a picture for each page, okay? Okay. So I would recommend that if you're doing this method, there's some people, and I think some people know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention names. You're not very clear in your writing. I know you're thinking who that is. All right. I would not do this method. You need to make sure that this can be legible. Somebody can read this. So I would recommend doing the typewritten thing. But if you've got really nice handwriting and it's pretty easy for you to do, maybe this is your method. But make sure you're using something dark against white background. The paper should be white and you've got nice handwriting that you can read the thing. Okay, 1 photo per page. And then again, make sure that before time runs out, you hit submit. For this entire test, you're only going to hit submit twice. 1 for problem 1, and then before time runs out for problem number 2, you're going to hit submit. If you're doing this method, when you save those pictures from your cell phone or whatever, there's only 3 types of extensions that you can save it as: a PNG, JPG, or JPEG. One of those 3. Okay. By the way, I'm not so sure how the cell phone works for the timer. I'm not sure if it's going to be displaying that. So you might want to be thinking ahead of time how you're going to be timing yourself. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. You might want to have a separate timer somehow. I don't know how that'll work. Don't forget, scrolling is kind of pain with this. And if you're using your cell phone to take pictures, you got to use your cell phone to upload the answers too. It's all in that one device. You can't use a computer and a cell phone. Nope. Okay. All right. So let's say after you do the test, you know something just didn't work out. Let's say power went out. Let's say computer crashed. Let's say you lost connectivity, something like that, something out of your control. You can afterwards ask for a makeup exam. And so afterwards, this form will come up, and on that form, the AP makeup exam testing request form, you can fill it out, explain what happened, and submit it, and they will look at it by May 25th and let you know, okay? If you don't get that form, that's why I sent you this PowerPoint. You can click on this link and request a makeup that way. What's important is that you must have that original e-ticket number, because they'll want that. And it's also important that you fill this out within 48 hours of the original exam. Okay, you need to understand that, oh, wait a second. Oh, I need to come back here. I don't know why I didn't highlight this. Look at the bottom where it says no. So there's lots of things that it's okay to say makeup exam for. So I thought they were pretty generous. One of the things was they said, if your brother or sister, little brother or sister comes in and they're bugging you, they're going crazy and you're just somebody's fighting in the background, that's definitely going to impact your exam performance, and it shouldn't. So you can request a makeup for that. That's something that's okay. You can do that. That's good. But what's not acceptable is, look, remember how I said you had to hit submit? If you're like, oh, I can't believe it, bonehead, I forgot to hit submit. That is not acceptable. You cannot say, hey, can I do a makeup because I forgot to hit submit? Nope, sorry, too bad. Okay, all right. Okay, part 2 of the presentation. We're going to talk about the 5 steps to take before exam day. So the first step is something that a lot of you have already done, is that go into your College Board account, make sure everything's up to date there. The second thing is to check your tech. Like if you're going to use your computer, make sure it's plugged in, charged up, ready to go before Monday. Make sure that's all done. Make sure that you can do all that kind of stuff. Or if you're going to use a cell phone, same thing. Step 3, on next Monday, we're going to have a demo day for the exam. So that's where you're going to see if you can access the site, number 1. Number 2, can you do your favorite method? Let's say you want to do the copy paste method. So you're a split screen, can I do that? Can I do, maybe you want to do option 2, where you save the document and then attach the document. Try that. Or option 3, use your cell phone and save the picture and upload the picture. So that's what we're doing on Monday. The fourth thing you can do before the exam is to get all your necessary stuff ready. That way you're all ready for the exam. So what I'm talking about is that equation table. So again, this PowerPoint presentation, you can click on that and print out that equation table. You need to have a paper copy. If you can't print, email me and I will get it printed for you.
Could we write up our own formula sheet?
What? Say that again?
Could we write up our own formula sheet?
Absolutely. This is an open note test, and I will talk about that more at the end because those are important questions. Also, make sure you have your calculator. Make sure you maybe have some extra battery so it doesn't die on you. I forgot to put on here, I had it at the very beginning, but that AP checklist, and we'll talk more about the AP checklist. So make sure you have that too. That's really important too. So those are all things. There's a link there if you want to check out some of the other stuff. I looked at it. I think those are the most important. And then the fifth thing is, of course, that you've got the, oops, sorry, go back, is that you got that e-ticket. If you didn't get the email, that's okay. On Saturday the 9th, just simply go into AP account and that will be where your e-ticket is. So make sure all that stuff's ready. We're going to be talking about these 5 things more in detail now. So for the people who haven't gone to the My AP account or your College Board account, you should do that today after this class. Make sure it works. A lot of you have emailed me already and you said, yep, no problem, okay? Make sure it's all set up, has the right email on there and everything. Second step is making sure your tech works. So let's say you're going to do method 1. That's where you're going to have a split screen and you copy and paste. You don't need a lockdown browser. So don't go thinking, oh, I need that. Nope, you don't need that. The next thing I don't know a lot about, but you might know something about it, has to do with English, is if you have a Grammarly plugin on your computer, you need to disable that, have it removed, because it doesn't play nice with the website, the AP website. In other words, on Monday, when you do the demo, you won't be able to do it because you have Grammarly. You got to get it disabled. If you're like, I don't know how to do that, you can Google. We'll talk about it more at the end, but you can Google how to disable plugins, figure it out that way. If it still doesn't work, email me and I'll try to get you in touch with the right people. By the way, if you're thinking, dang, I was hoping that I could use that as a grammar check because I knew for sure I was going to have to type. I'm not very good at grammar. I get that, but that's not how you're going to be graded on this AP test. Okay, so that won't help you. If you're still trying to figure out of the 3 methods, you know how the third method is, you're going to take a picture of a cell phone, you're like, oh, which one's better there? If you're still thinking about that, keep in mind, this year's exam, you will not have to submit diagrams or graphs or anything like that. So it's going to be a test that you should be able to answer all in words, okay? You shouldn't really have to do any kind of calculations or anything like that. For some people who are a little bit worried, like you're thinking, oh, I want to include equations. You can include equations, but you need to understand that equation cannot be your explanation. So for instance, if you have a question that says something like explain, well, if you use an equation to be your explain, and I'm doing air quotes here, explain, I think I was pretty unfriendly about that for your buddy quizzes. And that's what College Board's going to be here. You need to explain in words, okay? So it could be something like I would use Gauss's law, where I have to integrate the E dot dA to figure out and set that equal to Q enclosed over epsilon naught, something like that. You could say something like that, and you can even type it. But here's the problem. Don't go thinking, well, I have to use that symbol then for integration. No, you don't. All you have to do is write, I'm going to integrate that or something. That's it. If you really are worried about it, there is this link here, but that's more for calculus or chemistry. All right. Still looking at your tech. If you're trying to figure out, you know, which method do I like better, 1 or 2? 1, again, is where you're going to copy, split screen. You're going to copy from your word processing program and paste, as opposed to 2, where you're going to do your word processing program, save it to your desktop, and then attach that document. There's one thing that a couple things you need to be thinking about. Whoops, why didn't it do it? What the heck? Sorry. I don't know why this is not. All right. So the couple things I thought it was going to be highlighted here for us is you need to, I would really recommend that you turn on your auto save feature. That way, if your computer crashes or something, you didn't lose everything. Let's say you've been working for 10, 15 minutes and all of a sudden it crashes and you've just lost everything. You don't want that. So maybe Google, how do I turn on auto save and get that set up? If you're doing something in Google Docs, so here, the 2 methods. If you have Google Docs and you're doing the paste method, no big deal. You just go to Google Docs, you cut it, take it all, and then paste it in. No big problem. But if you're doing the other second method, where you got the Google Docs and you're going to save it to your desktop and then upload it or attach it, you need to be aware that that Google Doc that you saved to your desktop has to be saved in one of these formats: DOC, DOCX, PDF, or text. Has to be one of those. If you're doing that method, I really recommend that you make a folder on your desktop. It says AP Physics Test. You make two files in, 2 documents in there. One, so they're all ready. So one you would call AP Physics Question 1. The other one, AP Physics Question 2. Put your AP ID and initials at the top of those when you open them up and save it. That way it's all ready to go on Monday. I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to make sure that you got this ingrained in you. Okay, if you're doing the third method for submission, that's with the cell phone. It's really important that you're thinking about these pictures. I have to, or somebody has to read them. I'm not doing the reading this year. I don't want to do any more of this computer stuff. I'm tired of it. But if you're going to do this method, you need to be writing out by hand, not on yellow paper or something like that. It needs to be on white paper. It doesn't have to be lined. It doesn't really matter, but it needs to be white paper. That's a high contrast. You want something that's really easy to read. It has to be standard paper, so something close to 8.5 by 11, something like that. I would recommend that you use pencil, because that way if you make a mistake, you can erase. But since it is going to be prose, you're writing, you know, words and stuff, I suppose blue or black ink would be fine too, probably, right? Just something that's very, you know, that you can read really well. Again, keep in mind that if you make several different pages of this writing, you're going to have to take one picture for each page, okay? And before time runs out, you're going to have to upload each one of those pictures. So let's say you take 5 pictures, you're going to have to upload all 5 of them before the time runs out. Right. So there is a little preparation you could do for this method if that's what you want to do. You can go ahead and get some paper out right away and number them 1 through 5 for each one of the problems. And you can go ahead and put your initials and your AP ID once you get it on May 9th at the top. That way it's all ready to go. Step 3, the practice. That's going to be coming up on Monday. That's where we're going to do the demo. It's not going to give you an AP physics question, but you're going to be able to practice whatever your chosen method is. Let's say you want to do method 1. That's what split screen, copy and paste. You could try that. Or method 2, where you do split screen, save it to your desktop, and attach it. Or method 3, take some pictures and attach the pictures. So on Monday, you're going to first see if you can access the site. If you can't, you need to email me immediately because something's wrong. Either you got Grammarly or something else on there. If you can't access the site, you're not going to be able to access the test. If there's a browser problem, we're going to talk about that at the very last slide. Okay, exam day, step 4 of getting ready before the exam. On exam day, you're going to need your e-ticket. So you get that 2 days before the exam. You're going to need your completed exam day checklist. That's the link that I've given you. You're going to need to make sure your device, whatever it is, laptop, tablet, smartphone, whatever, it's all set up, ready to go, charged. You're going to need to make sure that it has the right browser on there. And you're going to need to make sure your internet is working or cellular is working. Stuff that you can use. Miranda said, you know, what about your own? You can have your own notes. You can have your own formula sheet. No problem. In fact, if you wanted to work together and make one together, you can. But whatever you make together has to be, let's say you do it in Google Docs, you need to download it before the exam, download it on your computer, because it cannot be something that you can still collaborate on during the test with other people. That is cheating. So, but it is okay to work ahead of time. Now, I will tell you, no, I'm not going to tell you yet. I will say this, less is more. Don't have so much material. I know right now you might be thinking, oh, great, I got the text, I got all these notes and everything. Right now, it feels like a security blanket. I'm going to tell you on the test day, that security blanket is going to suffocate you. It really is. Less is more, because you're going to have so much stuff, you're just not going to know where to go, and you're going to run out of time. Less is more. And stuff you make yourself is actually better than stuff you're getting from somebody else, because it's the actual process of making it that helps you kind of recall stuff. I hope this is not amping up your anxiety, because the truth is you guys should be getting 5s and 4s. I mean, there's a whole topic that won't even be on here that we've been studying. That's magnetism. So, I mean, 5s and 4s, right? I mean, if any year I expected everybody to get 5s, I mean, this would be definitely the year, okay? All right, so that means you should have low anxiety. Okay. Now, talking a little bit more about those optional resources. So we said, yeah, you can use your textbook, you can use notes and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. This is an open note test. You can use all of that kind of stuff. But you need to be aware of right now that the College Board takes cheating very seriously. So you want to make sure you don't set off warning bells, even though you're not cheating, but you don't want to set off warning bells that might be construed as cheating, because they're gonna be bloodhounds and they're gonna investigate, and it's not a good situation, because truthfully, you guys should do well. Second of all, usually students who do well, like let's say you got a 5 on this, a lot of times I encourage you, if you're going to go in engineering, I encourage you not to use the 5. I encourage you to go ahead and take the class in college anyway, because if you're going to engineering, first of all, even if you get a 3, you're going to get an A in that class. You're probably going to be teaching the class to some of your friends at college. You're going to impress the socks off your professor. She's going to want you to do all kinds of stuff for her, I mean, or him, that, I mean, you're going to get all these job opportunities and everything. You're going to boost your GPA. Now, for the people who are, maybe you're going to go into computer science, or maybe you're going to, I don't know, go into business or something. Yeah, I understand. Go ahead and use the 5. But, you know, just don't do anything that might be construed as cheating. And so, well, gosh darn it. That's why I want to key in on the bottom. Yes, you can do internet searches. Absolutely. But keep in mind, I think that that's a trap. I think internet searches is a trap. You don't have time to search the internet. On top of that, if you do happen to find something on the internet that might help you, realize that they have very sophisticated plagiarism software, and you don't want to copy and paste. I don't even think putting things in your own words is a little bit dangerous if you find something on the internet. You need to understand the College Board has, I almost think of it as like the Men in Black or something, right? They have so many statisticians that they're looking at all kinds of data. If they see some blip where, oh, wait a second, this is kind of an interesting trend, that's keying them in on something of, oh, you know, what's going on here? We're going to start to investigate this a little bit. I really don't think you guys need that stuff. You guys know this stuff, okay? So I think it's kind of a trap. So just, you know, don't worry about this thing so much, I guess. Okay, so step 5 is confirmation of e-ticket. So May 4th, we're going to do that practice demo, but then 2 days before the exam, on May 9th, you'll get the e-ticket and email. If you don't get the email, then you go to your College Board account and you get the ticket that way. Okay, you also want to make sure that you completed that AP exam checklist. At the very beginning, I gave you the link to it, and off to the right, you can kind of see the picture of it. I think it's actually a pretty good idea. I like that they made this. You need one of these for every AP test that you take. So like if you have 3 or 4, you need to have 3 or 4 of them printed out. It's a front and back thing. Again, if you don't have printing available, send an email. I'll make copies for you. What's nice about it is it has everything you need right in one spot. So like at the very top, you'll be able to type in or put in what your AP ID is, so you don't have to go rush around at the last second. Where's it at? You got it right there. It has a little check sheet where you can check things off. That way it makes you feel good, like I'm ready for this test. Like, I don't know if you're like this for when you go on vacation. I like to make a little checklist when I go on vacation. Did I make sure I packed my toothbrush, my toothpaste, that kind of stuff, right? It's kind of the same idea. That way you're not panicking on the day of the test, right? Right. Dang it. Sorry. Now, this is the third part of this presentation, only one more after this. So on exam day, 30 minutes before the actual exam, the exam for you guys starts at 2 p.m. So 30 minutes before that, at 1:30, you're going to use your e-ticket and you're going to go to the website, the exam website. You're going to complete the identity information and you're going to sit there patiently. It's going to have a countdown timer. The exam will begin and whatever. And you're just going to wait there patiently after you get all that stuff in. The first question then will pop up. It's a 25-minute question. Well, yeah, you get 25 minutes to type in. Let's say you're doing method 1, you got 25 minutes to type your response in your Word document. And then all of a sudden the timer will go to red and you got 5 minutes. That red means you're supposed to start uploading your answer, copy paste, upload your answer, upload your pictures, whatever it is. And before that time runs out, click submit. Okay. Let's say, because I imagine this can be true for you guys, you're going to get done with this stuff probably early. Let's say instead of 25 minutes, it only takes you, let's say 15 minutes. You can go ahead and start uploading your answer. So 15 minutes, you can go ahead and start copy and pasting your answer, or you can upload your document, and you can submit before that time. You can totally submit, but please understand, you cannot start that second question. You're just going to have to sit there and wait patiently until time expires. Why? It's test security, because everywhere in the world is doing this test exactly the same time. That way somebody in China is not cheating with somebody in America and stuff like that, or vice versa. Question 2 then comes up, and it's similar to question 1, except instead of being maybe parts A through E, maybe it only has 3 parts, A, B, and C. It's a shorter one. You do it the exact same way. The timer goes at 5 minutes, it goes red. That's your indicator that you need to start uploading your answer, and you need to hit submit before that time runs out. Okay. Okay, so now let's talk about your testing environment, something to start talking about with your brothers and sisters, your family. Okay, first of all, you need some kind of quiet room. True, if your family just comes in and they're gonna start arguing in front of you or whatever, yes, you can get a makeup, but you don't want that. You want this thing done, right? So talk to them and tell them about your schedule. You know, May 11th at this time, I really need you guys to go away, right? Go outside and play, right? Don't disturb me. More than that, you need to talk to your brothers and sisters who are playing Fortnite or downloading movies or something. They cannot be eating up your bandwidth during that time. You need to have a talk and tell them stay off the computer during that time. If they have some other class that they're doing a Zoom meeting for, sorry, this is more important than that Zoom meeting. They can watch the video afterwards, right? And if their teacher has a problem with it, you tell their teacher to email me. You want to make sure that you have that checklist available and all your required documents, the equation table, everything. Okay. So just make sure you have that conversation with your parents. Right after this, you know, go and share that date with your parents and share that date with your brothers and sisters. Make sure there isn't going to be a problem. Make sure they're not going to be getting on Netflix or anything. Okay, so exam security, a little bit about exam security. Again, I've kind of talked about this already. They have pretty sophisticated information about plagiarism, and so they're going to be looking at that. You don't want anything to worry about, you know, anything that's going to be setting off alarm bells for you. It's just not worth it. I mean, you guys are smart about this. It's just not worth it. It could affect your entire college career. It's not worth it. On top of that, please realize that you need to only use one device. If you use a cell phone, it's the cell phone through the entire thing. If you're using a computer, it's a computer through the whole thing, okay? Anyway, so I did that bit. All right, so let's say now it's 1:30. This is when you should go ahead and start checking into the test. What I want to key in on is that you don't hit refresh and you don't hit the back button. So let's say all of a sudden your brother or sister, they forgot and they got on Netflix and started downloading a movie, or they're doing Fortnite or whatever. Okay, that's all right. You go tell them nicely, get off. And you come back in here, don't hit refresh, don't hit the back button. You just go back to your test ticket, click it, and go back into the test, okay? What it'll look like on the right-hand side at 1:30 is it'll look on the right-hand side like that. You'll type in your ID, you'll continue, and you'll have this time. It'll count down to when the test starts. So don't hit refresh, don't hit the back button. So there's a lot of things about that I want you to key in. Well, not a lot, there's a few, okay? So if something happens with your computer screen, I know a lot of times, like when the website doesn't work for me, a lot of times I'll hit refresh. Don't do that. Don't hit the back button. That's really important. Just simply go back to your test ticket, click on enter, and go back into it that way, okay? The other thing is before time runs out on the test question, make sure you hit the submit button. Those are kind of the important things, okay? Answering questions. So off to the right, you'll kind of see a picture. This would be obviously something that somebody's doing on their cell phone. You'll notice there, you don't see any equations there or any, no, I agree that's kind of historical, I guess. But regardless, I have an idea that that's kind of going to be what the physics one's going to be too. It's going to be kind of prose like that. Notice that is nice and clear. I can read that, but you want to make sure that if you're doing the cell phone method that you can see it pretty well, but you need to understand that also the test is going to have probably parts A, B, and C, and so on. You want to make sure you label those. Also at the top, you have AP ID and you have each page number. If you're doing the methods 1 and 2, where you either copy and paste or you make the whole document, you upload the document. If you're doing the copy and paste, you're probably going to, I don't know for sure, but I believe you're probably going to be copying part A and pasting in the part A, I think, maybe, or maybe it's the entire thing. I'm not positive, but I think it still might be a good idea to label it A, B, C. That way it's pretty easy to find stuff, okay? On this one, I think I've already stressed this before, but make sure if you have Grammarly that you disable it. We'll find out on Monday if you can't access the demo, then that means that you probably have Grammarly or something like that on there, okay? I also want to emphasize again that once you hit submit, that's it. You can't go back. And that's another fear. I've already relayed that to you, that especially if it's parts A, B, and C, I'm a little bit fearful. Somebody does part A, they copy and paste A in, and they might accidentally hit submit. And oh, I'm a little bit worried. No, you don't hit submit until you put all the parts in that you can before time runs out. Okay. All right. Managing your time. So if you're doing the split screen, this shouldn't be a problem because there's going to be a time countdown timer. And so you'll know when, as soon as it gets down to red, that's when you start uploading your work, and then you have to hit submit before it goes to 0. And again, if you're not able to get through, you're only able to get through A, B, and C, you didn't have anything for the rest of them, that's all right. Just make sure you hit submit before time runs out, because you could still get a 5, okay? They made the test this way this year such that you might run out of time, okay? Let's see. And yeah, and I said there, don't forget you have to hit submit before you run out of time. It's not like Canvas. In Canvas, when you're doing a quiz and you don't hit submit, you run out of time, it went ahead and submitted for you. That's not true for this one. You have to hit submit. Okay, submitting your response. We're getting close to the end. Submitting your response is kind of a 2-step process. There's either, the first step is either attaching either your pictures if you're doing cell phone method, or if you're doing method 2 where you're making a document and you're saving it to your desktop and then uploading the document and attaching it. That's one possibility. Or maybe you're in Google Docs or a word processing program, you're copying and pasting. So that's step 1, attaching or pasting. Submit, step 2 is you have to actually physically hit the submit once you're all done with that problem, or right before time runs out. Again, if you don't hit submit before the time runs out, too bad, that's a 0, okay? There's a couple things I want to say here, so make sure you're listening to this part. So let's say time's ticking down, you know, you're down to 2 seconds, bam, you hit submit, that's good. So you made the time just in time. It's possible that it's still submitting even after time runs out. That's all right. As long as you hit submit before the time runs out, it can still, after it goes to 0, it can still be uploading that document. You're still good, no problem. However, I need to talk about as soon as you get to problem number 2. Let's say you do the same thing for problem number 2. It gets down to 2 seconds, you hit submit, oh good, you're good to go. But I don't want you to think, shoo, I'm done with this, I'm partying, yay, I'm out of here, I'm gonna close my computer up and leave. No, don't do that. You need to stay on your computer until it fully uploads that document, even though time's run out, okay? You'll know when that happens because you'll get some message that says your AP exam is complete, okay? And if you don't get that, then you need to request a makeup, and it talks about that there, okay? So let's talk about what could go wrong. Again, what could go wrong is maybe your brother or sister is eating up bandwidth and that kicked you off. That's okay. Just simply, if you had time, that's okay. If you have time, just simply go back to your ticket, click on that, and get back in the exam. Okay. Don't hit the back button. Don't hit the refresh button. What else? Let's see. Let's say you got something that's totally distracting you. You got fighting, or you totally lost power. Don't forget, you can request a makeup exam. So that's not an issue at all. So. I think I've gone over that many times. Okay. All right, so now the exam's over. So usually you get your AP exams kind of right around July 4th. This year, because of changed circumstances, it's going to be about a week later, so July 15th, okay? Again, they're stressing this year, it won't be a hard exam. If you were going to get a 5 before the pandemic, you're going to get a 5 now, okay? So just be confident, be secure, don't be anxious, don't have any anxiety, okay? If you don't have everything answered in a question, you're still going to get your score, okay? You also need to understand this. Let's say after you do the test, you're like, wow, I did a lot better. I wish I would have sent it to some other schools. You can go back into my AP and you can, before June 20th, you can go ahead and have it sent it to other schools, and I don't think it costs you anything. up to however many schools it says. But let's say July 15th, you see your scores, you're like, whoa, I did even better than I thought I was going to do. I guess Mr. Linfest is right. I did get a 5. I wish I would have sent it here. That's all right. After June 20th, you can still send it to your favorite schools or whatever schools you want. It's just going to cost you $15, but hey, that's not that big of a deal. All right. Or even $25 for rush delivery. This is the last slide. So if you remember, we talked about making sure you have the right browser, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. One way you can figure out if you're like, I'm totally lost on what you talk about there. One way to figure out what your preferred, what your computer is set up for, what browser is default, is you can send yourself a link to some website, YouTube or whatever. Make sure all browsers are closed. It can't be in your school email because that's through a browser, but I don't know, some other way, and access that email and click on the link. Whatever browser opens automatically, that is your default browser. And so here are some ways that you can go ahead and change your default browser. Also for plugins, you need to make sure like Grammarly and stuff is disabled. And so you can Google how to disable browser extensions. That's kind of important that you get that done. Again, we'll find out on May 4th, next Monday, if you have any issues. For anybody who has any accessibility things, I don't think that's an issue. I think some people get some extended time, and so I've already sent you some information about that. But accessibility is like, for instance, somebody who needs to have text read to them. I don't think that's anybody in here. The College Board would already have to have that accommodation for you, but you don't have to disable those plugins if you have the accommodation, so don't worry about that. And that's it. So let me ask if there's any question. I'm sorry I went so long, but there was so much information there. I want to make sure I got it to you. Any questions?
Will we be able to use an application on our computer for maybe like speech to text to try and make the typing go faster?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Is that an extension or is that an application? You know what? I do know this. You can try that on Monday. How's that? You could try that on Monday, and if it doesn't work, then we'll know that's a problem. I think Google Docs has that extension already in it. So actually, I don't think it'll be a problem. If you're doing Google Docs, I think it automatically does that. So I don't think that'll be a problem.
Okay.
I'm not sure. We'll find out on Monday. Other questions? I think somebody else had a question.
Yeah, if we say like Gauss's law, for example, do we actually have to explain the equation, or can we just assume that the graders know what Gauss's law is?
I think you only have to say is Gauss's law. However, you might have to say something like the Gaussian pillbox would be a
Sure.
cylinder, or the Gaussian pillbox is going to be a
Right.
sphere with radius of little r, or big R, or A, or B, or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like an equation. Sometimes students will just put out an equations thinking I'm going to get points where, well, you might have to explain some things like what is the integration there? It would be all the way to little r, or the Gaussian pillbox is a sphere, or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay, so let me share my screen one more time. Wait a second. Let me close this out. No, it's not. All right, let me share my screen with you one more time. We didn't have time to get to any of the internet the stuff I was wanting to do for physics today, but the truth is I think we might be kind of running out of time for that. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do much more, which is too bad because there was a lot of cool demonstrations I brought home. So wait a second, I have the wrong thing. So I'm not sure exactly how much we're going to be able to get more. So on here on the calendar, it says, there's this quiz here. Don't worry about this. None of this is going to be true. If it turns out the demo on Monday doesn't take very long, then yeah, we'll do a little bit of that stuff. Because, I mean, you kind of need to know that stuff, not for the test, but you need to know it for college. So let me get a picture. Let me stop sharing again. Let me get a picture for attendance purposes. How do I stop sharing? Oh, up here, done. I stayed up late. I'm kind of tired, kind of harebrained right now. Okay, let me get a picture here. If you can maybe turn on your camera. All right, let me take a picture. All right. Okay, so nobody has any other questions? Okay, so there are some things I want you to do. I want you to print out the equation table. If you can't, you're going to email me right away. I want you to print out one of those AP checklists, one for every class, but definitely for physics. Don't care about the other ones. If you can't get those done, you're going to send me an email so I can get it for you. All right, and then we'll arrange some way of getting it to you. Make sure you sign into your AP college account. So make sure you can access that. If you haven't done that already, a lot of you emailed me already, said no problem. And so that's done. No other questions? I can't think of anything. So I guess I'll see you on Monday when we do the demo. Okay, bye. Here.